Nigerian politics is slowly entering 2027 mode, and the fight is already getting serious. Not loud yet, but very serious. Quiet moves. Strong words. Careful alliances. And now, Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe has said something that many politicians may not like. He made it clear. Very clear. He said if the opposition really wants to defeat President Bola Tinubu in 2027, then they must stop playing games and face reality. According to him, politics is not about emotions or party pride anymore, but about strategy and numbers. He said the opposition must support the candidate who has the strongest national support, not just regional popularity. He said the truth is simple and many politicians already know it, but they are afraid to say it openly. According to him, the person with the best chance to defeat Tinubu is Peter Obi. He did not try to hide his position, and he did not speak like someone who was unsure. He spoke like someone who had already studied the political situation carefully and made up his mind. He went further to say that any northerner in the ADC who is planning to run for president should step aside and allow Peter Obi to run. This statement immediately changed the political conversation because zoning and regional power balance are very sensitive issues in Nigerian politics. Asking a region to step aside is not a small political statement. It is a serious call for political sacrifice in the interest of a larger goal. Abaribe explained that if the opposition fails to unite and instead presents multiple strong candidates, the votes will be divided again like what many people believe happened in the last election. And once the votes are divided, the ruling party will have a clear advantage. In his view, the opposition does not have the luxury of internal competition if their main goal is to remove the current government. He also suggested that politics should be approached with honesty. According to him, politicians must stop pretending not to understand where the strongest support is coming from. He said elections are won by numbers, by structure, and by public trust, not by noise or by political titles. He stressed that if the opposition truly wants to win, then personal ambition must be reduced and collective strategy must come first. His statement is already creating discussions inside political circles because it touches on a major issue that many parties are trying to avoid publicly. Everyone is talking about coalition, alliance, and unity, but nobody wants to be the one to step down for another person. Every major politician believes he has what it takes to be president, and that is where the problem usually starts. Too many candidates, too many parties, and too many personal ambitions often weaken the opposition before the election even begins. Political observers believe Abaribe's statement is not just ordinary support for Peter Obi, but also a message to opposition leaders who are currently discussing possible alliances ahead of 2027. The message is simple: if the opposition does not agree early on one strong candidate, history may repeat itself. This is why his statement is being taken seriously in many political discussions. It is not just about supporting a candidate. It is about strategy, unity, and political survival for the opposition parties. Because in Nigerian politics, elections are not only won on election day. They are often won or lost long before the voting begins, during negotiations, alliances, and decisions about who should run and who should step down. That is why this statement may look simple on the surface, but in reality, it is a very strong political message about the direction of the 2027 election and the difficult decisions that opposition parties may have to make if they truly want to challenge the current government. The situation became more intense after comments made by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, during a public political gathering linked to the People's Democratic Party. Wike questioned the actions of Peter Obi after the 2023 election cycle, especially his movement away from the Labour Party during its internal crisis. He stated that Obi had been given a strong political platform and national visibility, but when the party began to face internal challenges, that was the moment leadership was expected. According to him, that was the time to stay, resolve issues, and show control. Instead, he argued that Obi chose to step away and align with another political structure. That statement quickly gained attention because it was not just a personal opinion. It was coming from a serving minister who remains a member of the PDP while also working closely with the APC-led federal government. Many political observers saw it as part of a larger political message, not just a direct criticism. Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe responded with equal clarity and firmness. he rejected the claim that Peter Obi failed to show leadership. Instead, he shifted the conversation to the outcome of the 2023 presidential election. He argued that many Nigerians already believe Peter Obi performed strongly in that election and that this reality is well understood within political circles, including among those currently in power. Abaribe stated that the continued focus on Peter Obi by political opponents is not accidental. According to him, it reflects a deeper concern about Obi's political strength and public support. He said that for more than 3 years, Obi has remained a central topic in national political discussions, even outside active campaign periods. In his view, that level of attention suggests that key political actors see him as a major contender ahead of 2027. He went further to suggest that efforts may already be in motion to limit Obi's chances in the next election. Without making direct accusations tied to specific actions, he pointed to what he described as consistent political pressure, strategic messaging, and attempts to shape public perception. He argued that such efforts are often used in politics to weaken strong opponents before the actual contest begins. Abaribe also addressed the broader political environment in which Wike made his statement. He noted that the comment came during a PDP-related event, even though Wike is widely known to be working alongside the current APC administration. This situation, according to Abaribe, reflects a deeper issue within the opposition space. He suggested that the lines between parties have become increasingly blurred. Political loyalty is no longer defined strictly by party membership, but by strategic alignment and personal interest. As a result, actions and statements from key figures may not always reflect official party positions, but rather individual political calculations. This development has raised concerns among party members and analysts who believe that internal divisions within opposition parties could weaken their overall effectiveness ahead of the next general election. When influential figures operate across party lines, it becomes more difficult to maintain a clear and united political direction. At the same time, the exchange between Wike and Abaribe highlights a deeper debate about leadership, responsibility, and political movement. On one side is the argument that leadership requires staying within a structure and fixing it during crisis. On the other side is the view that political relevance depends on adapting quickly, especially when internal issues threaten long-term goals. These contrasting positions reflect two different approaches to politics. One focuses on loyalty to party structures, while the other emphasizes strategic positioning and broader national appeal. Both approaches have supporters, and both carry political risks. The discussion also brings attention to the growing importance of perception in Nigerian politics. Public opinion, media narratives, and elite commentary now play a major role in shaping political outcomes. Statements like these are not just reactions, they are part of ongoing efforts to influence how voters and political stakeholders interpret events. As reactions continue to build, it is becoming clear that the debate is not limited to individuals. It is part of a wider struggle over the direction of opposition politics, the role of key actors, and the strategies that will define the next election cycle. In this context, every statement carries weight, and every response is carefully observed. The political environment is no longer waiting for campaign season. It is already active, already shifting, and already setting the stage for what is expected to be a highly competitive and closely watched election in 2027. The tension in the political landscape continued to build as reactions to the exchange between Wike and Abaribe spread across the country. Many analysts pointed out that the timing of Wike's comments was significant. By making his statement during a PDP convention, he was not only addressing party members but also sending a message to the wider public. It was clear that he wanted to frame Peter Obi's actions in a certain way. Abaribe's response, however, shifted the narrative. He reminded everyone that the results of the 2023 election cannot be ignored. Peter Obi had demonstrated significant national support, and that reality cannot simply be rewritten by commentary or opinion. This back and forth highlights a larger challenge in Nigerian politics, the need for clear leadership versus strategic maneuvering. Those who stay strictly within party lines often argue that loyalty is paramount. Those who move across structures insist that political survival and effectiveness require flexibility. At the same time, voters are watching. They are observing how leaders respond to criticism, how they position themselves, and how they handle the challenges of alliances and opposition. Every statement now contributes to perception and public sentiment. Abaribe's insistence that Obi remains the strongest candidate against Tinubu is not only a show of support. It is a strategic signal to politicians, party leaders, and voters alike. It emphasizes unity, sacrifice for the greater good, and recognition of political reality. The conversation also underscores a key point: the 2027 election is already shaping up to be more than a contest of parties. It will be about alliances, strategy, and the ability of leaders to navigate complex political terrains. As Nigeria moves closer to the next election, these discussions will only intensify, and every comment, every response, will be dissected for its political weight. The battle lines are being drawn early, and the outcome may well depend on who positions themselves best before the campaigns even begin. If you look at everything happening now, you will realize something very important. The 2027 election will not just be about the ruling party versus the opposition. It will not simply be about APC versus PDP. The real contest will be much deeper. It will be about strategy, alliances, and the ability of leaders to manage internal competition. It will be about understanding where support is strongest and making calculated decisions to unify that support. Senator Enyinnaya Abaribe's statements highlight this reality. He is not only expressing personal support for Peter Obi. He is signaling a larger strategic conversation that the opposition must have if it wants to be successful. He is raising questions about who should lead the coalition, who must step aside, and how unity can be achieved without weakening the broader political objective. In Nigeria, politics is rarely simple. It is not just about winning votes. It is about building coalitions, negotiating positions, and sometimes making personal sacrifices for the collective goal. Abaribe's message underscores this truth. He is asking political actors to think beyond individual ambition and to consider the larger picture: defeating the current government in 2027. The opposition faces significant challenges. Multiple strong candidates can divide votes. Conflicting interests can weaken cohesion. Hidden alliances can complicate negotiations. These issues do not appear overnight. They are built over years, often quietly, through behind-the-scenes maneuvering and calculated political moves. That is why statements like Abaribe's are crucial. They force conversation. They make politicians confront the reality of divided opposition. They highlight the danger of failing to organize effectively. Without a unified approach, the opposition risks repeating past mistakes where internal divisions handed advantage to the ruling party. Peter Obi's presence in ADC further complicates the dynamic. It shows a shift in political alignment, moving from Labour Party to a broader platform that can attract support across regions. This move also challenges traditional party structures and forces other politicians to reassess their strategies. It sends a message that political positioning is as important as party loyalty. Meanwhile, figures like Wike illustrate the complexity of Nigerian politics. Operating across party lines, while still formally in PDP, demonstrates that alliances are fluid and strategic. Loyalty is often situational, and political influence can be exercised in ways that are not immediately visible. This environment makes early preparation and strategic foresight critical for any serious contender. The 2027 election will also be heavily influenced by public perception. Media narratives, social conversations, and elite commentary now play a decisive role in shaping opinions. Every statement, every interview, every public action contributes to how leaders are perceived. In such an environment, political strategy must include not only alliances but also careful management of image and messaging. This is why Abaribe's public support for Peter Obi is important. It is a signal not just to the candidate himself but to every other political actor watching closely. It reinforces the argument that unity behind the strongest contender is necessary. It also frames the conversation about leadership, highlighting the need for strategic decision-making over personal ambition. As the opposition navigates these challenges, the real battle is taking shape before the election campaign even starts. Negotiations, discussions about candidacy, and strategic planning are happening behind the scenes. Those who can anticipate political moves and position themselves accordingly are more likely to succeed. Those who underestimate the complexity of alliances may find themselves sidelined. The stakes are high. Political observers and ordinary voters alike are paying attention to how these early moves will affect the 2027 contest. Decisions made now about who runs, who steps down, and how alliances are managed will determine the trajectory of the election. Success will depend on the ability of leaders to unite opposition forces while maintaining public support and credibility. In this context, the 2027 election is already a battle of strategy and planning. It is no longer simply about campaigning or party popularity. It is about navigating alliances, understanding the political landscape, and positioning candidates in a way that maximizes chances of victory. Every statement, every strategic endorsement, every political maneuver contributes to shaping the outcome. Senator Abaribe's intervention is a reminder that preparation begins long before voters go to the polls. The political game has already started, and those who act wisely now are more likely to influence the final result. As Nigeria moves closer to 2027, the political environment will only become more complex. Alliances will be tested, strategies will be challenged, and every actor must make decisions that balance personal ambition with collective objectives. The next election will be decided as much by early strategy as by voting day. For those watching closely, it is clear that the real battle is not only about who campaigns the hardest. It is about who understands the political terrain, who unites supporters effectively, and who can position themselves and their allies in a way that maximizes electoral success. The political game has begun. It is strategic, calculated, and already intense. And as 2027 approaches, it will become even more competitive, with every move carrying weight and every decision shaping the future of the nation. The opposition must act carefully. Unity, strategy, and foresight are no longer optional. They are essential. The real election may be won or lost before a single vote is cast.